magic formula for better results. And they don't just happen by accident. There is a specific curriculum for your business to thrive, and I am here to help you develop it. Hi, I am Guelord LUKAMA, a John Maxwell Team certified speaker, teacher, trainer, and coach. I am passionate about personal development in all its forms, but my specialties are teaching and training. As a certified teacher and trainer with the John Maxwell Team, not only am I equipped with the host of top-tier development resources to share with you, but I myself have also been taught and trained by one of the world's foremost leadership experts. Guess who? Dr. John C. Maxwell. John Maxwell has been an authority on leadership for more than 40 years, and he's taught me anything. It's that teaching is ultimately serving. I am here to provide you with the tools you use to multiply your results. I am here to help you grow yourself, your team, and your organization beyond your barriers. And that is what I love what I do. And if you want that for yourself, I like to do it for you too. Whether you're looking for insight on leadership, communication, goal setting, or other personal growth and development principles, I have time-tested programs available that will fit your needs. I offer individual and group work, as well as online or in person. We can meet during your hours of operation or outside of your work hours. Again, I am here for you to help you grow at your pace and on your platform and in your capacity. Contact me today to invest in your company's next level of performance.
Am I sowing now so that I can reap the harvest I need to reap tomorrow? All right. Understand that it's raining and it's making a lot of noise, but if you can just give me your ears and your attention for a little while, I think we will be good. Can everybody hear me well? Is it clear? All right. Just make sure that you're blocking the sound of the noise of the rain in your spirit, and so we can be able to gather. Will you also help me welcome those that are joining us online this morning, whether they are on Facebook or YouTube this morning? We are truly blessed and excited to know that we are here and that we are going to be doing great things. All right. Now, how many of you have seen a gun before? You have seen a gun, even in a movie. I mean, you've seen a gun, right? I'm not sure if I want to ask the next question. How many of you have touched a gun before? Oh my, where did you touch that? Oh, okay, the last one. How many of you have shot before using a gun? You haven't? I was in the US about 5 or 6 years ago, and then somebody had this weird idea. And you know, in the US, guns, it's really like toys, and you know, it is something you do to pass time. It is a hobby. You know, when you are bored, you just take your guns and go to a shooting range and just start hitting and so forth and so on. And in the US, it is possible for one individual to own, you know, multiple guns. In fact, you can go into somebody's house and they open their safe. You'd think that this is Chuck Norris about to be sent in Vietnam and be able to release some prisoners. But they do it out of passion. They do it out of, you know, the love they have for the instrument. But how many of you know that before you can own a gun, you have to prove that you can actually work it. There is nobody that can be given a license to own a gun without first of all proving that they know how to handle the gun. But on the other hand, how many of you know that you can buy a car without knowing how to drive? I mean, there are so many of you that have money to buy a car, but you just wish, my God, maybe when I buy a car, I'll learn to drive. It's because just because you can afford something does not mean that you are equipped for the thing. Most of the time, we let training come after the assumption of a position, while it is the position that should, it is the training that should precede what? The position. It is only in church and in many organizations as a general state and understanding whereby people get into position and later get trained for the position. And most of the time, even in church, you appoint somebody that has no experience whatsoever, no education in whatsoever that you are appointing them in the office for. And then later on, you begin to train them. Now, here is my understanding. When the future knocks at your door, that's not the time to train for the future. When the future knocks at your door, it is the time for you to show what you were being trained for. In the Bible, I understand that God works in preparation without the one who's being prepared even being aware that he is next. In fact, God can be taking you through a journey without you understanding that everything that he is doing there, it is a school to which he has enrolled you for the future you don't know you will get into. And that's why this meeting is very important, because it will enable us to be able to be trained. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a few things that are very important. And in my session today and in the afternoon, I want to deal with two things that are quite important. I will introduce this morning the leadership levels and how does one grow into leadership, and then in the afternoon I will deal with the positions and how is the leadership structured. And then later on, before we close today, we will then have a panel of discussion with the bishop. Now listen, in leading, we must know that leadership begins with who you are and not what you know. Leadership begins with who you are and not what you know. In leadership, it begins with who you are and not what you know. Because what you are is what brings influence, not what you know. You see, the same thing that a common man can say, if it is said in the mouth of Barack Obama, everybody will clap. It is not about the message, but it's about the influence of who is speaking. Minister Isaac, there are so many things I get to say them. But since the Holy Spirit is one, and you hear a prominent preacher say the same thing I said on Sunday, but everybody will clap for what a prominent, well-known preacher said, but they will not acknowledge that it was said first here. It is easy for you to work on a message. It is easy for you to work on, what do I say? What do I do? What do I sell? But it is better to start on what am I, and what do I have to offer? Because leadership is about who you are before it is about what you say and about what you do. That is why anybody that want to grow their organization, they must not first focus on the organization. They must first focus on themselves. You can only push people at the limits of their own identity. So the first place to push an agenda is not in the organization, but is to push the agenda in your own self. Listen, for many years, I often wanted, to see, people excited and very energetic in service, and man, let's jump, let's dance, and let's celebrate God. Let's do something. Like, when we come in the service, it shouldn't feel like a funeral. Until I learned that the church is not the reflection of your words, but the reflection of your person. Now, I look at myself. What a mellow guy. What a calm person. I mean, if I'm not on the pulpit, I'm quite loud on the pulpit. But if you sit by me, I'm quite boring. It is just my personality. I'm an introvert. So I express myself silently. I am better when I am in my thoughts. I like my space. But the thing is, I want the people to be exciting. I want, when it's time for praise and worship, let's jump, let's praise, let's roll on the floor. But the church cannot run at a tempo that is not in the leader. So what does that demand? It demands me to come out of my comfort zone and be what I want the church to be. Because so many times, as leaders, it is easy for us, to blame people. People are not excited. People are always calm. People are not doing nothing. Man, I wish. What people are looking is, what is our leader doing? Maybe it's not allowed to jump in this church. Have you seen your pastor jump? Have you seen your pastor dance? So when a person comes with his energy, is looking at the pace of the one that is in front. So you cannot change your organization before you change yourself. You cannot change the people you are leading before you change who you are. Leadership is about influence. And one thing we must know is that you don't get influence in one day. There is a path that ultimately gets the influence needed to lead effectively. In the 21 Irrefutable Laws, and it's a book I recommend for all of you that are leaders here, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. It says that there are laws that governs leadership, and these are proven, tested time and time again across cultures, organizations, and these remain true for everybody. Among the 21 laws, irrefutable laws of leadership, it talks about the law of the lead. Eli, can I have my bottle? Can I have the bottle? The law of the lead. The lead is this thing. The cup. The law of the lead suggests that you can never rise above the level of your leadership. This container can never handle more than its capacity. It may have a desire, it may have a vision to be beyond and say, I am Joburg water, I can pour. But as soon as this thing is full, whatever that goes in it is over. What does the law of the lead entails is that how you lead directly affects how you succeed. The cap to your organizational success is not with the organization itself, but it is with your capacity to lead. You see, even if the desire of this bottle is for it to have more than 500 ml of water, but it can only handle what it has the capacity to contain. What does that mean? It means you can't lead your organization beyond your capacity. That's why a leader that is not growing cannot grow what they are leading. A leader that is not growing cannot grow what they are leading. Yesterday, Bishop Michel told us that at some point in his ministry, he felt like he was a 200 capacity member leader. Anything beyond that capacity was exhausting. Anything beyond that capacity, the rest was going to die. Just as if we take this bottle, anything beyond this capacity will spill. I won't be able to look after it. I won't be able to control it. I won't be able to look after it. Because my capacity has reached its cap. So your leadership level puts a cap, puts a limit on your organization. Your leadership capacity puts a cap on what? On your organization level. Can you imagine being the number one problem of your organization? Can you imagine being the number one reason why things don't work in your organization? If I figured that the first person to get fired when something is wrong is not the team players. They always fire the coach. They fire the minister. They fire the head of departments. Because sometimes it is not the problem of the team players, but it has everything to do with what? The leadership. Because if you have a leader that has reached its capacity, they can go further. Now let's just talk, for example, many of you like soccer, so let's talk about soccer. If you have a coach and his leadership capacity is to just win a local tournament, he will never take you to the World Cup. Even if you have to hire Messi in your team, even if you had to hire the best of the best, the leadership capacity of the coach determines the leadership limitation of the entire team, not the talent. Because there are times we have talent, but we lack leadership. Isn't it amazing that you can have a player that misses a penalty? I mean, for God's sake, you are world number one. I won't mention the name. But instead of everybody saying that he should go, they are saying, no, the manager should go. It's because it is not always the problem of the players. If the politics of the coach is which that is not allowing the players to perform. So there are times we want to change the team players. And the mistakes we make in our small company, small enterprise, is that we look at problem as individual issues. But we never look within as far as what is our capacity? What am I doing? Isn't it amazing that you can have somebody that is actually the borest of all boring? But as soon as it changes organization, he's flying with colors. You ask yourself, what's wrong? What made him be so boring? What made him so dumb? What made him so lost? That it is in another organization where he's flying. The problem wasn't the person, but it had everything to do with what? Leadership. That's why John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on what? Leadership. Now write this down, please. Your organization cannot be higher than your ability to lead. Your business can't be higher than your ability to lead. My ministry will never rise to the level above my leadership. It is amazing that, we people of faith will pray, God, I need more money. I want more contracts. Lord, send me more customers. Lord, I need more deals. Oh God, more travels. But in reality, we have no capacity for what we are praying for. And God is not so concerned about answering our prayers than He is about the capacity we have to receive what we give. The reason why some prayers haven't been answered is because we haven't developed the capacity for what we are praying for. How many of you believe that God answered prayers? How many of you believe that there is absolutely nothing that is impossible to God? Do you understand that we can pray now? We can enter into a fasting. We're about to go into next week. The week after next week, into 21 days of prayer here at church. We can pray, Lord, make us 1,000 times more. Make us 1,000-member church. Without advertisement, people can flock from every places. But the question, where do you put them? That is why when creation was being made, structure, oh Lord, preceded movement. It did not begin with the movement. It did not begin with the man being what it was meant to be. God made sure that the infrastructure could sustain and support what it was going to make finally. That is why it will take time for you to build structure. But make sure you take all the time is needed, because the structure must handle what you are praying for. If you are praying for a company that will employ over 40 people, do you have the structure that can manage 40 employees? If you are praying that your business will be across Africa, do you have the structure that will help you manage different offices in different countries? And by different countries, it means different laws that regulate these regions. Now, you know nothing about Africa. You know nothing about import and export. You know nothing about it. But yet you are praying that you will go global. It begins with you increasing what? Your capacity. You cannot lead people further than you can lead yourself. I can never take you where I haven't been. I can never lead you to a place I myself have not arrived. Otherwise, I'm selling you dreams. I cannot talk to you with conviction and assurance that this is where you are going to be, but I haven't been there myself, because the test of a leader is always the one that travels the road and then comes back in time to carry the fox with him in the future. Do you know why out of everybody that came out of Egypt, only Joshua and Caleb entered the promised land? Because leadership demands you to travel the future. Comes back in time, now walk the people into the future. It is impossible for you to take people where either mentally, spiritually, or even physically you haven't arrived yet. That's why it is imperative and is important for us to make sure that we are not our own leadership cap. Now listen. If out of 10, your leadership capacity is a 3, your organization can only be a 2. If your leadership level is a 5, your organization can be a 5. It can only be a 4. Now imagine we are people of faith and I am a pastor. I want to attract people that are so gifted, that are so talented, people that are well established. I need to raise the level of my message. Because I cannot bring in ministers, people that are high level thinkers, and talk to them about peanuts and sweet potatoes. My examples cannot be that I was in a taxi and they gave me a change of 5 rand and I couldn't count the change. You must be able not only to improve your thinking level so that anybody that sits under your teaching can be able to say, oh my God, every time I listen to the person, I have something new I am learning. The thing about us is that we hide constantly under the umbrella of our faith. Now, by faith, they're going to come. Yeah, they will come, but they won't stay. Because as soon as they hear you, as soon as they see the place, as soon as they encounter your business, as soon as they encounter your customer service, they said, well, it looked nice, but I'm quite disappointed. I don't think I can stay here. Because it is one thing for there to be attraction, but it is another thing for there to be commitment. What we are trying to pursue is not attraction, but it is commitment. So when a leader wants to grow their organization, they grow themselves. Now, I want to challenge you to grow yourself this year. Name 5 areas of your life where you need to improve. Name 5 things you would like to see your organization do. By the way, this is your homework. What are the 5 areas you need to grow in this year? What are the 5 areas you need to grow this year? Secondly, what are the 5 areas, as far as your organization is concerned, you would like to see improved? When you have identified the 5 areas you would like to see organization improve, begin to improve them yourself in your life. John Maxwell says that you cannot have culture, you can only be the culture. Because the culture is not what you do, it's who you are. If, as a leader, I am leading an organization, and this church is an organization and an enterprise and so forth and so on. I have the tendency to always be late. I cannot ask my employees to come on time because leadership is visual. People don't do what you say. People do what they see. So whatever you need to correct as far as your organization is concerned, it demands for you to start improving them in your own personal life. Look at your neighbor, say, this year, grow. People do what they see. The second law that John Maxwell deals with that will lead me to our conversation this afternoon is that the law of process. The law of process. Leadership is developed daily, not in a day. Leadership is developed daily, not in a day. You don't become great in a day. You become great daily. You don't become great in an event. You become great as a result of a process. What is the problem? The problem is that most of us, write this down, overestimate the power of an event and underestimate the power of a process. We overestimate the power of an event. You're thinking that one event can change you so much. And after you have hoped for an event to change you, you realize that, oh man, I'm still the same person. But we underestimate the power of process. Write this down again. Can I give it to you? We overestimate what we can do in a day, and we underestimate what we can do over time. How many of you know that if you want what you are cooking to be well cooked, you need to be willing to give it time? Higher fire cooks well the outside, but keeps the inside uncooked. Low fire cooks so well the inside, even when the outside doesn't look cooked. As young leaders, we must not overestimate what one day can do. Oh man, they lay hand on me, I'm becoming a millionaire. Oh man, they lay down on me, I am going to pack a stadium. Oh man, they lay hand on me, I am going to launch $1 million business. Oh man, they lay hand on me. They lay hand on you, it's a day. But what happens is that after the event, you must then take initiation to a process. Maybe I'll talk about it later today or tomorrow. Elijah meets Elisha. When he meets Elisha, the Bible says that he will take his coat and throw it on Elisha. When he throws the coat to Elisha, prophetically Elisha understands that this is a call to my next season. that gesture of throwing the coat, it says the future is calling. But what will happen? He did not immediately become the prophet in the space of Elijah. The Bible says he will grab back his coat, but this time around follow Elisha on the road. Because it is the process that leads you to become, not an event. This here is the beginning. After we are done, if you like a certificate, I give you the certificate. It does not make you a leader. It begins the process of you now becoming a leader. Remember, I said leaders are not made in a day, they are made daily. And so when one wants to become a leader, they must never underestimate the power and the virtue of a process. Somebody say process. Say it again, process. Can I give you these few things and then we'll let hear Bishop. Usain Bolt, how many of you know him? This is a man that is like the fastest man to ever run. He trains 6 days a week, 11 months a year to run 12 seconds under. No, you didn't hear me. He trains 6 days a week, 11 months a year to run out for how long? Now, for you, man, how long is it going to be? 12 seconds. Why should I practice every day? I mean, no, that's the reason why you're not Usain Bolt. That's the reason why if we have to run from here to there, your lungs and mine and our tongue is almost close to falling on the floor. The man understands that consistency chops over intensity. Man, you can still carry energy to lift and lift and lift and lift and say, you know what, I'm going to do 100 push-ups in one go. You will die. But you can do a set of 10 times, and what happens? You have done 100. Now, the result of 10 sets is bigger than the result of 100 in one go. So many people are not willing to put in the time because they are underestimating what 12 seconds represent. Listen, the man has the record of being the fastest runner, but he doesn't become it in a day. Consistently, 6 days a week, 11 months a year, the man is running. Where are you running to? Where are you going? The man has an objective. The man has a vision. There is something he wants to do. He is trying to create in him the capacity to beat his own personal record. Now, a preaching takes me 40, 50 minutes, 1 hour maximum to speak. But it takes me all week to prepare. My delivery is 50 minutes, but an entire lifetime of lessons. You know, I never understood. But when I started preaching, man, I was so boring. Oh, I'm glad you came at the right time. You know, I turned out to be fine. But when I was given my first sermon, At the morning prayer back home, I had about 4 pages, Minister Joshua. 4 pages. Told myself, this is at least 10 minutes per page. I guess I start. My mouth is dry in the second minute. And then, to my biggest surprise, in less than 5 minutes, all I've written in 4 pages was done. Because you have what to say, but you don't have a well of experience that can be able to back the principles that you are giving. Now, 18, 12, 18, 17 years later, you need to stop me. I mean, Bishop was saying yesterday, please remind me the time again. Because unless you stop him, he won't stop talking. It is no longer me praying, oh Lord, it is still 30 minutes. How do I get to? But it's now, oh man, I wish I had more time. Because it is not in a day, but it is what you are learning daily that now brings you in a place where you have material. Can I give you a few things? And I hand over the microphone to Bishop. Events versus process. Number 1. Events are good because they encourages. They encourage decisions. You know, when you've taken a decision and then there is an event that shows that the decision was good, you are encouraged. But process encourage development. If an event encourage a decision, process encourages development. Let's say you have somebody that you're training. And then in your organization, you've trained them so well that you decide, okay, this time around I won't be present. I want you to handle that deal. You know how we always do it. Now, this is the first time that that person is going to do it solo. You know, to file the papers and do the tenders application and so forth and so on. So I want you to oversee it. When that deal goes through, and you and the person you are training, you get to jump, you're excited. That event encourages the fact that a good decision was made. But that person should not stay on that event. He must be engaged and be willing to follow the process. What am I saying? Jesus will often operate a miracle and disappear after he made a miracle. Because he was about development more than he was about excitement. When something worked, we want to dwell on what is working. But you can't grow if you dwell on what is worked yesterday. Oh man, oh God, leadership, oh my God, was so good. Pastor was so deep. Oh man, oh Bishop, oh Lord, oh Lord. We talk about it next week. We're talking about it in March. We talk about it in April. But if we keep on staying on what worked, we will never grow to the next. Number 2, events motivate people, but it is process that mature people. Events motivate your employees. Man, we got the deal. Man, the contract has been accepted. Oh man, our client was so happy with the service. I'm going to take you all out for lunch. You motivate the people, saying that to your work is appreciated. But process is what matures them. Do you understand that people can be excited but not know how to end a failure? Now, it worked. They're excited because The contract went through and the deal was received. But what do you do when you've done everything but it's still rejected? That is the place for maturity. And it is only process that matures the people. How do you take criticism? How do you take backlash? How do you deal with competition? That is not just about us being, motivated. It is about maturation. Number 3, an event is a matter of calendar. Process is a matter of culture. There are specific things that you do at specific time, specific seasons, but process becomes who you are. It becomes what you are constantly doing. I like this 4th one. Event challenges people, but process change people. People can be challenged and still be the same. But it is if they are challenged time and again, then they can finally be changed. How many of you know that when you are bringing in a new system, in the absence of the one that initiates the system, people tend to go back in their old stuff? Now, from now on, when we're doing this, we're going to, let's say, when we sign a new deal or when we sign a new contract, everybody's going to clap, everybody's going to jump, and everybody's going to give each other, high five and so forth and so on. Regardless of who you are in the company. We are all going to high five each other and then we're going to do, hey, and so forth and so on. That is to encourage process. Now listen. As soon as you turn your back, now these are your employees looking at each other, me giving you a high five in your dream. Because an event makes us do things, but it is only process that can lead us to a place where we are totally changed. Whether I am present or absent, you get to do what you are called to do. And that is where I want to get us for as leaders of the church. That whether the pastor is present or absent, the culture is sustained. Whether I do or I don't do it, whether I am there or I'm not there, I am still seeing the same thing happening. And that's why it is imperative for an organization not to solely depend on your presence. As Africans, it makes us feel so good when things, crumble in our absence. Oh man, they will know. I'll close with this. I was a choir director back home, and so I was so full. People didn't like the fact that I was choir director, because they thought that it was, me just being privileged as a pastor's son. So it happened that in those days, my visa to come to South Africa had gone out. And so in the midst of them fighting me and challenging me and sabotaging me, and in my attempts to make sure that we get to be where we were called to be, the church was loving the new style I had, and man, the worship was so prophetic. The flow was just amazing. Every service, the power of God was there, in spite of their challenge. So now when my visa to come to South Africa had come out, I was so happy that finally they will know what I was worth. Because for an African, your worth is only known in your absence, never in your presence. That's why we have a great culture of celebrating the dead. Man, you will put 100,000 rand on a funeral, but you can never put such an amount on somebody's life. In fact, people get to know who you really were to in your death than they know in your life. So when I came, they didn't know that I came. Of course, my younger self was going to make show that you will feel it. You will sing a cappella this Sunday. And back in those days, that's a good thing about growing up, a bit poor, is because it teaches you how to capitalize on everything. We didn't have a drum, we didn't have a bassist, we didn't have. So I was the old band myself. And it's not easy to be that kind of a player, as far as the keyboard is concerned. So you are the beat, you are the drummer, you are the soloist, you are the pianist, and so forth and so on. So the first Sunday, I left my sister with a disc, and then on which I programmed some few songs and say, okay, in case they need it, this is where you press. This is how they begin. This is how they end, and so forth and so on. They can be able to have it if they are willing. Now I'm on my way to South Africa, man. I'm excited. The future is calling. I have no time to think about these people that didn't like me. We get there on Sunday, and then I receive call from my sister that is telling me, man, Sunday was horrible. Oh my God, you should have seen their faces. They were so shocked that you are no longer here. I said, but I was there. But they didn't know how to celebrate what they have, because so much time we want to value something in its absence than we value it in its presence. What we are leading should not depend on us only when we are present. An organization should be so well run that is like a spaceship. It is not controlled by the pilot. The pilot, in fact, can have his hands off the deck and the thing still arrive where it's supposed to arrive. When you have arrived at that place where an organization is no longer dependent on you, then as a leader, you have enough peace to dream bigger. You have enough time to think of what is the next thing. You cannot be overwhelmed with doing the things that you were doing 10 years ago. I've come to a place where, worst come to worst, I can't be everything to this church. I have to be willing that there are some areas, in order for the church to grow, I have to let go of. Because remember, we are the limitations of our organization. You never rise above your level of leadership. And secondly, as a leader, you don't grow in a day, you grow daily. And I'm going to share you this afternoon on how do you develop and grow as a leader. God bless you. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I want to just give us 5 minutes. And in these 5 minutes, you can either stretch, greet somebody, introduce yourself to somebody. This is your opportunity to network and tell somebody, what is it that you do? What is it that you're about? You never know you sit it next to. I supply, gold and diamonds and so forth and so on. And if you're looking for this stuff, I can connect you to the right people. I am. All right. But I need at this moment just for you to stretch and do whatever. In 5 minutes, we are back, and then the session will begin with the bishop. God bless you.